It's Morgan from the podcast, and we recorded this show on Tuesday before the emergency banning actually happened. So some of our opinions and everything like that might be a little changed, obviously, since Fellow Guardian has officially been banned in standard, effective on April 28th. So, take what we say with a grain of salt. We still do have some input on the stuff that happened last week. So the show's still, important to listen to, and we, of course, will have more to talk about on next week's show about this emergency banning, kind of what it means for the standard format, and kind of how we feel about it. So definitely keep your ear to the ground for that next week, and enjoy the episode. Thanks. At Your Instep is brought to you by Comic Town and BCW Supplies. Hello, and welcome to At Your Instep. My name is Morgan, and I'm here with Mike.
Hello.
And Dave.
I thought you were going to be first.
We doing the switch up.
We switched the arrangement up.
He made eye contact with me. It was
true.
a thing.
That's true, I did. Welcome to another episode of At Your Instep. It's, of course, going to be fun-filled and exciting. We're going to talk about
super positive.
Yeah, majorly positive. We're gonna bring we might bring smiles to your faces, but it's going to be for interesting and different reasons. Of course, this is, kind of a dull week. We don't have anything, competitive really to talk about, except that I
wouldn't say it's a dull week.
Okay, competition-wise, there was only pre-releases over the weekend. I'd like to say that I went undefeated at my pre-release with 4-0. It was a very laid-back and casual event, so I wouldn't say that the competition was the stiffest or anything like that, but I fought valiantly and walked away with 5 prize packs.
Just so you know.
And I also got Sky Sovereign, the Council's flagship.
Oh, that's a good card. I was going to say, your 4-0 is not official because I didn't see you post it on Twitter.
Oh, yes, that's true.
Or Instagram or anything like that.
I did not. No, not the card. I got the actual papercraft ship from the store we played at.
Katie and I got 2 Thopters.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
It's not a Sky Sovereign.
Those don't seem as good, yeah.
They're cool. They're not a Sky Sovereign.
They're not Sky Sovereign. So we won't have anything really, again, competitive to talk about. It's all going to be, stuff that we didn't cover last week, as well as the banned and restricted announcement. So, that's pretty much the glut of what this episode is definitely going to be. We do have a question of the week, which relates to the Comic 10 Classic that's going to be this weekend. So definitely something to, be interested in towards the end of the show. But, let's just get started with the community segments and let's talk about the ban list. So pulling it up here, we see that, let's start from the bottom and work our way up.
So standard first then?
Well, I was thinking, I see what you did there.
Bazinga
So let's start with vintage, because we won't have much to say about vintage. So Gitaxian Probe
Some free cards were restricted.
is restricted, and Gush is restricted. I feel bad for, Steven Menendian? Sorry, bud, you can only play one of those in your decks.
But only him.
Yeah.
He's the only one we're sorry for.
He did write, a book on it, right?
That's what I hear.
I think I don't know. I haven't actually looked to see if that's legitimate.
I know.
I just know that there's a cover that says "How to Play Gush" by Steve Menendian.
I know next to nothing about vintage. I just know that Gush plus Fast Bond is a good combo. So.
I think Gush is just a good Magic card, right?
Yeah.
It says draw cards on it.
It does.
Historically, that's been
cost 0.
D's plus.
Yeah. So sorry, Gitaxian Probe too good for many formats. It turns out.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of takes on this. I'm not well versed in vintage.
I don't care.
What's right
yeah, vintage, great. I'm sorry you can't play some of your less expensive cards in your $20,000 decks.
The two commons.
Yeah, 2 commons.
too good in a format full of
a tragedy.
Oxen.
A tragedy has befallen your people, and I apologize. Anyway, moving on to something we have a little bit more of a feeling for.
We're getting warmer.
We're getting warmer. This is a legacy, and we have another. This is actually this is a pretty huge change, to be perfectly honest. We have Sensei's Dividing Top being banned in Legacy.
I guess that sign that was posted outside of Watsy's building.
Yeah, it really
paid off.
impacted them. It
Yeah,
really
was-
affected them.
It was worth the whatever, however much that cost.
And, they obviously did say, like, we made the decision before the sign was posted, but sure you did.
I'm printing my sign as we speak. It's called band standard.
So, this is a thing that is going to definitely shake up Legacy for a large, part of it. This basically neuters, completely even obliterates Miracles, and Doomsday as well.
That's actually the deck that definitively can't exist anymore.
Can't exist, that's correct. Miracles could exist theoretically.
Sue's saying it's just as good.
No.
No?
You have what, Miri's
Guile.
Miri's Guile.
Once per turn. Mm-hmm. No, this is saying you can do it whenever you want to. You just have to pay the amount of mana for the amount of cards
Except you have to
see.
pay 3 mana for the same effect that you used to get for 1 mana on
Yes.
top. Yeah,
That seems correctly designed in my book.
seems fair. Yeah.
If it's good or
You
not, I
could
don't
even
know.
shuffle your deck for 5 mana.
You couldn't do
It's
that.
it's already built into the card. You don't even need a fetch land. You don't even have to play fetch lands in your deck.
So
I don't. I feel bad for Miracles players. We obviously had Min on here, friend of the show, to talk about it. That was his baby, and he was pretty downtrodden yesterday. But I do think that this discussion had been happening for actual years. Miracles had been the best deck in the format for a very long time.
yeah, I mean,
And top just continues to cause problems. And I understand that Miracle players who play the deck efficiently, you are good at it. You are. But the problem is, in a large tournament, most Magic players are terrible at divining top. They are so bad with that card, and they waste everyone's time. And now they can't. And I'm not upset about it. Now, I don't play a lot of Legacy anyway, so I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, it should. This seems really logical to me. And I'll be interested to see what kind, if some of the more classic blue-white decks come back into Modern, like things like Stoneblade, that honestly was one of the few decks when I was considering play, or Modern, I said Modern. Legacy, that deck is sweet. The deck that was it Tom Martell won GP
Lingering
with?
Souls deck?
Lingering Souls, Soulblade, that was sweet. You have things like what used to be classic America decks before Jeskai had a name, the kind of things that possibly could see some light now that blue-white, because before, if you're going to play a blue-white, any sort of control style deck, the question would be, why weren't you playing Miracles? It's obviously that good. Now maybe it brings some of them back. I don't know.
It'll probably just be Delvers.
I mean, maybe.
Let's be honest.
But Stoneblade, is okay against Delver. Lingering Souls.
I literally
pretty good
don't
against
even know.
Delver.
I literally don't even
So-
know. I just know that Miracles was pretty good against Delver. So
Well, sure. And there are definitely some decks that gained from this. I think we could collectively hear the yay from all the elves.
elves
all
players,
across
yes,
Columbus,
correct, yes.
coming out of their hidey holes.
Praise be to Gaia Inner Cradle, as we've seen in messages.
I do believe that was I don't remember who that was.
That was Jordan that said that, but Riley Curran,
sorry,
another
okay, yeah, sorry.
notable local elves player, they
Yeah.
definitely were having a conversation and celebrating the death of Miracles. Also, True Name Nemesis gets better.
It certainly does. Yeah. This is kind of scary because the Leovold decks, especially Leovold Delver decks, could be really good.
Yeah.
And that's scary because that card's scary.
And a lot of people have been saying that next on the chopping block is Deathrite Shaman. Just being
the SCG article said that today.
just
too, right?
being such a ubiquitous card within the format and just being very, very powerful.
the 1 mana Planeswalker. You mean?
Yeah, the
Oh,
1 mana
yeah.
Planeswalker. So wouldn't be surprised to see that come down the pipeline. But apparently it'll take months and months and months and months and months. But hey, you've been warned.
yeah. It's like the draft. As soon as the season ends for NFL, all right, number one pick, you're on the clock. It's going to be a while, but you're on the clock.
You're on the clock.
So I think Legacy's better for this. I think a lot of players have said that. Even some pretty well entrenched Miracles players were like, "Yeah, it was time." So maybe Legacy opens up a little bit. Or I'll be very honest, it could also just be too late for Legacy to open up. That sounds terrible, but
yeah, I mean it's really
I will
awkward to say
they're still
open
making
up.
vintage. They're still making vintage bands for decks. So Legacy can obviously shift, but it does seem weird for this to come after we've seen Legacy sort of fall pretty far, when it may have actually had more of an effect on the health of the format
Earlier on.
earlier on.
Yeah.
But that I guess it's neither here nor there.
Yeah. We'll just have to kind of see what happens. All these changes are live on Magic Online right now as well, so you could even see like some of the non-miracles legacy looks like. And you could even see what restricted gush and Contactually Pro vintage looks like if you want. I guess I don't know what kind of information you're deriving from that though.
It makes so we have a standard open this weekend as well for Star City Standard Open. It makes it a little bit awkward that we don't have the Legacy Classic like we used to. So I'm somewhat interested to see how Legacy
we
was
won't
going to
see
look.
it until Louisville. Am I right?
I think so. Yeah.
Like SCG Louisville, the team event.
Is that the big reveal?
I mean, that's gonna be
the big
next time
debut.
Everybody
Legacy's
playing Sultai and Delver
on the big
maybe
stage.
sometimes together.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes together. A little bit of column A, a little column B.
Anyway,
All right.
that's enough Legacy talk for us.
No, it's almost too much. Sorry if we lost you there. Next up is Modern. No changes.
People's format
People's format.
already good.
Great. It's perfect.
Pat on the back.
It's not
Good job,
it's not perfect, but Martin's in a fine spot.
I said already good.
Yeah.
he said perfect.
I was a bit.
fair.
I was a bit too over exuberant.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it perfect either, but it's very enjoyable.
Yeah, and they did in the article. They did mention like having concerns about Death Shadow, but they have noted that people are finding technology to battle against it, which I believe is honestly true. I believe that. I believe that if you look at like Magic Online results and stuff like that, it's not like just 5 or 6 or 7 Death Shadows lists that are 5-0ing.
No.
It's a good smattering of lists, and sometimes you don't even see any Death Shadow lists that have 5-0 to League. Now it could be like there are just a lot of people playing Modern Leagues online, which does make sense. But if the deck was truly as oppressive as some people make it out to be, then you would see them being a little bit more scared about it. And they also did mention their worry about color representation.
Yeah, that was
within
really
Modern.
odd. That was really odd to me that was the thing. Like, oh, we want the color balance. It's like, since when? I mean, like,
Yeah, literally, like all of you banned City's Divining Top, but you're cool with Brainstorm. Don't tell me that like formats
well,
need.
they can't be in Brainstorm.
No.
That would actually kill the
no.
format.
I'm not saying they should,
Yeah.
but if they're going to talk about color diversity, like
Well, they're talking about Modern, not Legacy. So
I'm just saying.
yeah,
Like they are okay with formats
Legacy
that are
is
elite
everybody
and
knows.
pretty heavy.
Everybody knows who's king in Legacy.
And-
Blue's not going in.
And in Modern, like they've been pretty okay with blue being neutered for a long time. So like, yeah, they can shut up.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe that is something that they do want to look at in the future. And in honesty, this is kind of saying that Death Shadow is on some sort of watch list.
Hey. If they want Blue to be good in Modern, they know what they need to do. It only comes up every single time that there's a BNR announcement.
That's scary. I think
Unban a certain planeswalker.
I think that is a pretty scary thing to do. In all honesty, I think they're just scared about doing that.
I think Jace the Mind Sculptor is definitely the Jumanji box hidden on the side of the construction site.
Yeah.
Like every time we get close to BNR announcement, Jace. Yeah, you guys hear that? You guys hear that drum beat? Jace. And of course they finally decide like, oh, I found this cool planeswalker. What is it? And then it's just like everyone's stuck in the jungle until somebody rolls a 5 or a 6 or something stupid, and it's all bad.
No, I heard the new Jumanji that's coming out. It's a video game and not a board
It is
game.
a video game. That's true.
Makes
I
me
hate
sad.
children.
That makes me sad.
I hate
Yeah.
current children. I disown the fact that I was a child. They're dumb. And they're video
They're
games.
dumb and they don't make sense.
This ancient video game that's been.
But anyway, moving back to shifting back to Modern, I would say
We're really avoiding getting the standard. Like, we're just like me.
I just wanna
We're
just,
all
like,
having a good time here, guys. Come on.
just emphasize
What
that
could possibly ruin the fun?
again, Death Shadow is something that they did see and worry about being too much of
No.
the format, and went away from.
You stay away from Death Shadow.
They're coming.
That's my new bay.
The shadow lingers
No.
over the shadow, I guess. I
Hey,
don't know.
hey, we've just just made it official. Everything's going well. Don't ruin this for me.
You got married to Death Shadows?
No,
We just made it official? Like,
No.
that's kind of what that means.
No. It's like
Because I missed the shower. I'm really sorry.
Didn't get you anything, actually. That is my bad.
Don't let Delver hear that.
All right.
Still a little salty.
So it was like Death Shadow, your side bay?
No, Death Shadow's the main bay.
Oh, Delver's the side bay now.
Yeah.
Delver, it's okay. You don't need him.
It'll be all right.
We're stronger without him.
Hey, you just got a whole lot better with Legacy,
Plenty of fish
so.
in the sea in Legacy. Yeah,
That rhymed.
The legacy of
Writing sonnets over here.
Yeah. Still think about her every day. As much as I try to forget.
All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Standard. No changes.
What?
Standard.
What? No,
fine.
No
just
changes.
the way it is. Wow. Yeah, and upon really reviewing this and really thinking about it, there was actually no way they were going to ban anything in standard at all, because they can always use the excuse Amonkhet is coming and we want to see what it does to standard. And if they could always lean on that, then they were never going to... If they didn't ban anything last time, when they literally had nothing, they literally looked at 2-week-old results and based their decision off of, then they even have a stronger argument that they can back up to not ban anything, and they used it.
Hey, but next time it'll be... Well, our devastation's right around the corner, so we'll have to see what happens. And then the next time it'll be, well, Ixalan's right around the corner, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, see, I don't think they can do that next time. I don't think that they can say if the Felidar Guardian Saheeli Rai combo, is the best deck, is consistent, or even something like Mardu Vehicles, if they are still just like the two best decks, then I don't think that they can say that XYZ is just around the corner anymore, because then they have to acknowledge that the Felidar Guardian Saheeli Rai combo is going to be a problem throughout standard, and then at that point in time they should make an actionable change. But I don't think that they can't use this, like, they just can't.
I wasn't being serious.
I know.
I'm just saying, like, by the logic that they're given, it's just like,
yes,
I don't know, but yeah, like the more I thought about it, they didn't change anything last time when they had the opportunity to, and really there haven't even been any standard tournaments, or there haven't been any major standard tournaments since the last BNR announcement where they could have made taken action on it. So I didn't. Deep down, I kind of knew that they weren't going to do anything, but I was really hoping that they would.
Yeah.
See, but here's the thing, and MTG Goldfish had tweeted this out, but Magic Online metagame, Saheeli and Mardu Vehicles currently owns, I don't know, let me add this all up, because 4-color Saheeli Marvel is still 4-color Saheeli.
Yeah.
So let's add 35%, which is 4-color Saheeli, to the 13% of Marvel, so 48 plus 33. Oh, that's cool. So 80% of the online meta is those two decks. Like,
yeah. And that's not even necessarily even online. That's online mixed in with actual paper results, some paper
IQ
results,
and that kind of stuff. But it's mostly online right now.
It is mostly online.
I feel like, and I think I've made this joke at some point before, but I feel like this is the Edgar bug from the first Men in Black, right? And like Wizards is like the water and wants more sugar, which is the data, and it's just like, but you have data,
more sugar,
but it's like, but it's already bad, more. Like, but it's getting worse, not more. Like, what do you need? What else do you need to see?
The frustrating thing too is, like, if you look at the metagame and how warped it's been, it's like way worse than before when Emrakul and Smuggler's Copter and Reflector Mage got banned in standard. Like, this is statistically a way worse format. As far as diversity,
you're just so restricted in what you can play. I mean, I was talking over the weekend about Panharmonicon and cards like Anointed Procession with some people, which, like, Anointed Procession is not probably close to playable anyways, but it's certainly unplayable now. Like Panharmonicon, like, I top baited with that in December when Emrakul was in the format, because you weren't just dying. You know what I mean? You could still play cards. I couldn't cast Panharmonicon now if I wanted to, no matter what. What are you tapping out on turn 4 for a do-nothing artifact for? You die.
Yeah, you're just dead.
And that's to both decks, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
Which, it's okay to have a fast aggro deck, but the problem is you can't play true mid-range to play the middle, because your true mid-range deck doesn't want to tap out now. Like, you have now, maybe, like I said, they said maybe Amonkhet's going to fix it. It's possible. Things like Glorybringer are getting some hype, but that's a tough sell for me. And I tweeted at Aaron Forsythe, which I feel bad for him. I know he's the guy taking all of the heat.
He's the face. Yeah.
But that's what happens. But he seemed to suggest that they have an eye towards the effect of Amonkhet on the Pro Tour, and that's when they'll look at afterwards. But it doesn't make sense to me. Like, Amonkhet was never in design when they knew it was going to be with Battle for Zendikar. So you weren't designing the set for Gideon. Like, you designed a new Gideon, so maybe that's what he's hoping for. Like, that takes over, like, I don't know why you would hope for that. Like, this new Gideon's even better, but so they weren't actively in the format together, right? So they didn't plan for this. Then you have Felidar, which is an actual error. They have admitted already
Right.
it was a straight
Yeah.
mistake. So again, the set wasn't designed with that combo in mind either. So how can you be confident that Amonkhet's going to have an effect on it when you didn't even have these issues in mind when you designed the set? Like, I do not know how that's a logical answer.
Yeah, and I'll just go back to, like, I mean, I said this last time when they didn't ban Felidar Guardian. It's like they obviously missed the interaction. They've admitted as much. There's no way that it's going to make it through the entire cycle of Standard because those cards are in the same block. So there's no way it's going to make it 2 years. What are you waiting for? Like, okay, we've had it in Standard for a little while now. Okay, we've had our fun. Let's move on. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. I don't actually mind Mardu vehicles as much because I feel like there are hate cards for that, and I think like if that was the only thing you had to worry about, or if that was the best deck, you could beat it.
Yes.
But the problem is you can't beat both of these decks.
And like them, like Amonkhet having a lot of good artifact hate cards makes sense because they
knew they were coming from an artifact plane.
correct, and they are shifting, their dynamics and how they used to print hate cards, which they're years apart. They're directly conflicting.
But now your draft format has multiple cards that interact with artifacts in a format that has almost zero.
Yeah,
artifacts.
like no reason to do that. So it's like
That's whatever.
so it makes sense. So it makes sense. Like, and that's like kind of the scary thing for four color because it's like, oh, guess what? Four color Saheeli gets to play all the hate cards for Mardu vehicles. Like it's one matchup.
And Glorybringer.
And Glorybringer, yeah. So it's like
I like Glorybringer better.
Yeah,
Look at my rat necklace.
Bling, bling.
And then the light reflects off of it and you melt and it deals 4
correct.
damage to you.
so like that deck gets to play all these hate cards. So it's like. Okay, so how is four color Saheeli just not like the go-to deck for week 1 and theoretically all other weeks after that?
Ad infinitum. I don't. So the most compelling argument I see to the flip side of this, because we're all pretty upset about this. The most compelling flip side argument I've seen to this has been, and honestly, like someone like I have to look. It wasn't Michael Majors. It was Ross Merriam articulated this well today. But it was like essentially that there's a lot more casual players and casual F&M players than you could ever account for at the competitive level. So like bans affect them a lot worse. And he's like essentially saying something along the lines of he's a long way removed from being the kid who has to scrape together store credit to be able to buy the Gideons to play his deck. So that financial investment for a lot of players is something that like now granted for myself, like I certainly just don't go out and buy those cards either, but I understand what he's suggesting. And that's true, I suppose, but at some point, just like every other really bad format, you really have to look at attendance. And I know that standard attendance is suffering. Locally,
I was going to counter with that. Like at one point, like does it tip to where it's like an unplayable format and people just aren't coming out?
It certainly does, and I don't know where we're at for that right now. I think this looks really bad, like because and by that logic, then if Wizards bans like Felidar Guardian or like at least or maybe like Gideon too, then like the people were just as angry because things got banned. I don't think that's true, but that like there will still be some backlash. But it just doesn't make sense to me for them to have instituted the second ban window. Because like all they've created for themselves by not doing anything with the second ban window is create more press for themselves now that's negative. So like the logic behind this just seems to be faulty all around. I don't get it.
Yeah. Another thing I just want to touch on real quick is I know you mentioned Aaron Forsyth was kind of at the head of it. He also mentioned that they're looking at when they do the announcements. So that's something that they are possibly considering changing in the future. Having the announcement be after the set is revealed, but or I should say, like after the full set is revealed, or after the pre-releases, it's kind of an awkward time, especially for the pros that are trying to
test the format.
Trying to test the format.
They are testing both like banned and unbanned formats.
Right, and it's really like kind of putting everything on hold. They mentioned that the timing made more sense when they had modern Pro Tours because they would look to shake up the format before Modern Pro Tour, and it was, I guess, good to make a compelling Pro Tour, but it was bad for the kind of entrenched Modern players that were upset that their decks keep getting banned because you got to shake up the format.
Right.
So it made more sense before that, but I hope that going forward they kind of consider maybe moving it to. I don't even know what would be better. I guess like maybe a week before. So like maybe like after the set's revealed, then have it the following Monday. Or...
Yeah, because I saw some people even like the way this worked now, because the way they set up Magic Online to have the new set like now, like to have Amonkhet now. Like there were people like, I'll use the Legacy announcement, who are like, oh, I was going to play weekly Legacy this week, and I'm not allowed to because it's off, because the way the timing rules are now. But everyone else had no information before, so like it's feel bads on like both sides. It's like, just tell me.
Yeah, like I say, it's not just
because
pros.
before you had the week, and then like, okay, by Friday you couldn't do this. You know what I mean? And like now it was just like, nope, it's gone now. What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not just pros. I mean, I mentioned pros because a lot of pros are vocal about
sure.
preparing for the Pro Tour, but even us. I mean, we're playing in the Comic Town Classic this week.
Yeah.
And we basically have 5 days to figure out what we're going to play because we just got the announcement. I mean, I personally didn't do any testing because I didn't really know what was going to happen.
Right.
I knew there was a possibility that there was something that could happen, but I guess I got to figure out what I'm going to play now.
I guess so.
We'll talk about that later. But yeah.
I mean, I don't know what really more there is to say. I do think that the banning announcement that comes after the Pro Tour and like what the Pro Tour holds is going to be interesting. I don't know if it's going to be good, but it is going to be interesting to say the least.
What version of Saheeli is going to win the Pro Tour?
Yeah.
Or like the last time, what 8 copies of vehicles are going to top 8 the Pro Tour?
Yeah. Both are viable things to really ask at this point in time. So we'll just wait and see. But I'm not holding my breath. I don't have high hopes.
That would be dangerous.
And yeah, we'll move on. So last week there was also a bunch of announcements that we didn't get to cover because we were too busy, having a palooza.
It was a heck of a palooza.
It was a grand old time.
It was certainly all of those things. So we decided to kind of go over those now. And the first one is we get to know what the fall set is going to be called, and it's going to be called Ixalan.
Ixalan?
Not Ixalan.
I tried.
So Ixalan is going to be the fall set. We know nothing else about it other than it is going to be released on September 29th later this year. And it's a little weird because the Pro Tour is going to take place November 3rd through the 5th. That's quite a ways away from release.
What happened to October?
October, well...
We still get it, right? We don't lose October this year?
October is still happening. But there actually is something else that's going to be happening to help highlight Ixalan's release, which is the 2017 World Championship, correct?
Yep. So
that is going to be the event they kind of use to help hype.
Oh, okay, because there's October, okay.
Yeah. So the actual... okay, yeah. So that is sorry. I lost my place. So yeah, the World Championship is going to be happening. That helps hype the new set. And there's going to be a team limited Grand Prix on September 30th through October 1st, which is going to be pretty cool. Which will highlight Ixalan as well. At least in its limited format.
Yeah. So we're gonna have this weird Pro Tour that's happening 5 weeks after the set release instead of 3?
Correct.
It's 3 now, right?
Yeah.
Which I actually kind of like that. I wouldn't be completely... I guess there's some pros and cons that come with this, right? So I think the pros to having Pro Tour being pushed back a few more weeks is, I think, like, in a new format, especially with this one that's going to bring a rotation, it gives you like a couple more weeks to brew. Like if you like to brew decks and like the format's not going to be solved by the pros yet, what I mean, quote unquote.
You're not just going to like pick up a Pro Tour deck and be like, this is what I'm going to play for the rest of the season.
Right. It gives you a couple more weeks of like kind of like the wild west feel,
Mm-hmm.
It's also not you say rotation, but this is not a regular rotation.
Yeah.
Well, isn't this going to rotate battle though?
Battle and shadows.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a super rotation.
It is a super rotation.
So there you go. So I mean, I kind of like that. some of my favorite tournaments are always the ones that happen, the first couple of weeks, because you can kind of, you can kind of go a little crazy. And I know Mike likes to brew, so
I love to. So does Morgan. That's why he's playing 4 colors of healing.
Hey, I'm
But
doing
he has
it.
some new cards.
I'm doing it for the team. We have a team event in Louisville, and I really
true.
I want to do the best that I can for the team. So
I tried to be like really casual, but I just suddenly like nudged Morgan. I was like, I want to play that Shadow at Louisville. So find the standard deck you like.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna go with the good one, apparently. Theoretically good one, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So I like that it kind of the format's feels a little bit more open this first couple of weeks. Downside is if you are somebody that likes to read Magic content from the pros, well, you have a couple more weeks of hey, check out these cube drafts, or like, hey,
How many more lists can PVU come up with? I don't know. We'll find out.
right.
I really think that, in all honesty, like that. This current era where pros are like that, the very secretive era of Magic, and still like wanting to also create good content needs to kind of end by that point in time.
It's a wildly separate point for what we're talking about, but I totally agree with you, because at some point, especially like in a month-long gap, like if you literally sing for your supper, you can't be playing the old hits all the time.
Yeah, you can't remember this little gem.
Like, oh, you mean the one you sang the last 5 nights? Yeah, I'm not coming here anymore. Oh, wait, I've got a new one. Well, it's half of a new one. I can't show you all of it. The composition's not ready. Wait for the American Idol. I don't know. That's the only equivalent I can find.
Yeah.
It's not every writer. It's just most of them.
It's most.
Yeah.
Except for Jerry.
I gotta give props to Jerry Thompson. Yeah, he's the man.
Hot fire every week. Just like, no, this is what you should play. This is what's the best.
Yeah, he's just like, hey, here's a whole 75. Like, do it. So I do hope that they decide to be less, secretive with, what they are constructing and putting out to the people. And
They will be. Don't worry. There's a whole team aspect to it now. You can't spoil it for the team.
So what they'll do is at the end of each article, there'll be one card that's blacked out, and it's like, now you can guess what card this might be in our 75 total. Oh god.
yeah. So that'll be abysmal.
All right, let's talk about something sweet.
All right, talk about Nationals.
Yes.
Nationals is also happening. We don't know where though. The mouse just died. Oh no, there it is. It's back now. So Nationals. When are they? September 9th through the 10th, September 16th through the 17th, and October 14th through the 15th.
So one of those weekends.
Yes, correct. For depending on where you're competing.
Yes.
So you don't get 3 nationals. You only get one, but it'll happen on one of those weekends.
Correct. So we don't know where, like we already said, and
or which weekend for anybody yet. That is frustrating, and awkward. But what are you gonna do?
That is. And you might ask yourself, well, who's invited to these things?
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it, Mike.
This is not my beautiful house.
And as days go by,
Every time.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. Dave saw my face light up like I couldn't stop.
I'm like, oh no. Anyway.
I mean, once you might only be able to go to nationals once in a lifetime, so let's be real here. It's very important.
I have only played in one nationals. So I guess that's it.
Beautiful medal.
I guess that's it.
This is not my beautiful country.
Oh man.
Anyway, there actually is a what is a spreadsheet you can kind of look at that'll let you know if you're invited to nationals.
Yes.
The
I'm
threshold,
qualified.
The threshold is relative. I'm qualified.
You are?
Yes.
All right.
So it's funny that I didn't look. Morgan said I'm qualified. I said, I got it.
Yeah, by default, Mike knows.
I was like, I have more Planet Circle points than him. So
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what the threshold is, but it can't be very high.
I have
because
no
I haven't
idea.
played I've played a decent amount this year, but not,
Right.
I'm not grinding every week. And, I know Morgan's probably played less than me.
that's what I said. I think Morgan's
So,
played the least Magic recently. So that's why I was like, oh,
I
I'm
mean,
safe.
recently, but I mean, I've done a fair amount of. I think I've done a fair amount
across the
of,
year, but
of-
I think using yourself, how much Magic you played compared, I think I felt safe.
oh yeah,
So,
for sure. But
I'm not in buy territory.
So
though,
you've done better than me in tournaments, which
I wasn't.
No, but that
mean,
means you have more Planeswalker points.
I mean, you're
because
right.
we've also attended a lot of the same
I
tournaments.
wasn't going to go there,
Yeah, I
but
was
yeah.
just being bashful.
Oh, it's okay. So, but hey, I mean, I'm close to like one buy for GPs, so
right,
it's
so-
like I don't even have a buy for GPs, but I'm qualified for nationals, guys.
That's sweet. I mean, I hope it. I think we're all pretty well hoping that it's drivable for us
Yes.
because we want to go.
That'd be
Chicago.
It's like
awesome.
split format, which is insane. You get that standard and draft. You get a sweet Inkmoth Nexus, right? That is the promo for that, which the art on that looks pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So seems great.
Just make it Chicago or Indianapolis.
Or Columbus.
Yeah, just make Columbus.
Columbus would be sweet, but
I'll take it.
I'm trying not to get greedy. Just make it drivable. I feel like Indy and Chicago are more centralized to the country.
That's very true.
So
But yeah, I mean, it's fairly exciting. So hopefully, it is it is a thing that we get to do and go and report on, and, bring some sweet nationals news back from the front lines.
yeah, hopefully it falls on one of those first 2 weekends in September because I'll be in Hawaii in October.
Oh, no.
So I won't be able to participate.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's not going to be in Hawaii.
Apparently, that would be real cruel.
Everybody's qualified, but it's in Hawaii.
Literally,
so if you can afford it, come on down.
Oh man, that would be something.
Yeah, Pro Tour's in Hawaii this week because you get that free.
You get that free
Plane
flight.
trip.
Yeah, you
Well,
get the free flight.
Well, some people do.
Some
but,
people do.
Yeah.
That's true. Not everyone, unfortunately. So
What else we got?
what else do we have?
Oh, so we had a sweet one, and now it's kind of a negative one.
Oh,
RPTQs.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
So you both have participated in some RPTQs, right? What'd you think of them before we found out this new news?
It's all right.
So what did I think of before this?
Before,
I mean, at least they made some amount of sense before this. You qualified for it, so you got to play in the next round of tournaments. Paying for it feels disgusting.
correct. So there's going to be a new change for regional Pro Tour qualifiers, and these will be the regionals that feed into Pro Tour Ixalan, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Is when this change will take effect. And it is that the tournament organizer that actually organizes these RPTQs can now charge an entry fee for them, which, as I say, is incredibly comedic because you already had to pay to play in a tournament to qualify for another tournament that you have to pay in, and then when you get to the Pro Tour, if you qualify through an RPTQ, you just have to pay there too. No, just kidding. That's not true, but it could be.
I don't understand this. They flat out said before that the whole point of the RPTQ, the RPTQ is free because the grinder was already paying money for the first event, and also since you had to travel for it, you got the promo to help pay for things. Cool. So the promo has gone down in price. All 3 times it's been printed now. Liliana first, most expensive. Snapcaster, less expensive than that. Emrakul, less expensive than that. Cool. So that part of it has been frustrating. And then the other part that you, again, specifically said was because the grinder shouldn't have to pay for this. Now they do because the store wasn't making money.
Oh no!
Then pay them.
Give them the product.
Then pay them. Why? Why would you continue to do this to people? Hey, we know you hate our format for qualifying for the Pro Tour. Let's make it worse so less people want to do it. Yes.
We're achieving our goal of less people in the Pro Tour.
Had they started out by saying that the RPTQ will cost an entry fee as well, I don't think this would have been as bad.
Yeah, you can't start it out.
But you can't start it out.
Well, apparently you can,
Well,
but,
but
it feels a lot worse.
Starting it out by saying that we care about you and how much money you spend, and then being like, nah, we actually don't.
We
It's
just
real
don't care.
weird.
I think it's even worse when you think about okay, yeah, you've paid for your PPTQ, but what about the people that go to multiple PPTQs? If you don't qualify on that first one, it's oh, okay, so I played in 4 PPTQs, and each of them we'll say each of them were $10, but it's probably more than that. It's probably 15, right?
15 or 20,
right? So you've already sunk $60 into it, and then it's oh, I got to pay however much this RPTQ is going to cost because
pay another 30
as
for the
we
RPTQ.
know, the TOs will never gouge you for GPs or anything like that. I don't know. I mean, I do. I mean, it's a good thing for the TOs because if they were losing money, I don't really know. I'm guessing they were. But if they were losing money, then yeah, that's bad, obviously. But there's got to be a better solution. I don't know.
I mean, there isn't currently. I just feel like this. they just don't care. I guess I don't know.
It's
like
just,
between the P, like so the PTQ and GPs, it costs I don't know whatever you feel like, and then like this, like it's just like okay, as long as the TO benefits, then I'm excited. And like for the RPGQ, I don't want to sound so like cold about that because I know it's actually local game stores that are running these, but like Wizards, and just make sure that they're supported. Like why are you like literally like your invitational like. Okay, cool. And then don't forget to hand over your credit card when you come into the Pro Tour, and then we'll give you 2 Subway stamps. So, it's a good trade-off. You know what I mean? Like, and like meanwhile, again, when you see like people like being like, well, I could grind the PTQ format, or I could do these Star City ones that pay pretty well, and then they don't charge me for their invitational, so that's weird.
And then if I win their invitational, I get invited.
I go to the Pro Tour. Well, that seems like an okay system then, right? Like it just seems weird.
Yeah, so you're doing well on that circuit, making money all the way to the Pro Tour eventually. Like, oh, okay, instead of like paying money all the way to the Pro Tour.
Like,
interesting.
Yeah, like again, like you don't do anything at the RPTQ. Like you get some sealed prize, which is literal nothing from Wizards. Like here you go.
Yeah.
And then you get the promo, which is nice, but again, consistently worse. And if you look at things like the GP promo, I just have to assume we'll have our own Progenitus for the RPTQ format.
You better get excited.
Really soon.
You better get excited for that Progenitus. Now, it's also interesting to note that, the online PPTQ RPTQ system...
Even better.
It's not changing how they operate at all. It remains untouched and the same. Obviously, competition way more fierce online. Anyone can do that. But also, if you get to play your RPTQ for free. So I don't know, man.
That's awkward. In my opinion, they just need to scrap the whole
PPTQ
RPQ. I think.
It's just
in my opinion, it's a failure. It's just.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wonder how they view it. Like, are they viewing it as something that needs to be fixed, or are they just totally okay with this? Like, I wish I knew, but
I don't think they view it as something needing to be fixed.
I think they just need to get back to basics. Like, I love that they brought back nationals. It seems like that's, hey, you know what? Instead of having like 3 World Magic Cup qualifiers across the country, they will just have 1 nationals. That makes sense.
Mm.
Just make it simple.
Yeah.
Keep it simple. Why you need to win 5 tournaments to make it to the Pro Tour? Just, hey, you win a PTQ, you go to the Pro Tour. Simple as that.
Yeah, I mean that's how it was when I started playing, started getting competitive, and it made sense. And I think this RPTQ system in general is just like confusing. Like, oh, what season are we in? What decks can we play? What? I've heard like plenty of people ask like, what does this qualify me? Qualify me
formats? For? Yeah, like
what Pro Tour does this qualify me for? Like, yeah, it's just. It's confusing and a disservice to the player. In all honesty, that the actual person that they find that they feel like this is the only way that they can really achieve getting on the Pro Tour, which is a lot of people's goals within the game.
Like I don't know. Like maybe I just sound like an old man. Like, oh, back in the day it used to be so much better. But like I don't know. I feel like a lot of people feel that way. I don't know how you guys feel, but I mean that's like when I came up and I started playing competitively, that's how it was. It's like you go to PTQ, you travel to a PTQ, maybe you drive for 3, 4, 5 hours to go play the PTQ.
Some of my favorite Magic trips were driving to PTQs with various different kinds of people. I know that the PTQ that you won in it was either Louisville or
it was like what? How long of a drive? Yeah, I won Louisville.
Yeah, I didn't go, but I heard the stories from it. And I know that Jordan.
That's the one I want to point out is the reason to miss PTQ.
Oh no, not at all. But it's just like you get these good stories, and I don't think the RPTQ/PPTQ system doesn't necessarily generate that. And not saying like Wizards should even care. Like obviously that is the least of their worries is generating good stories for their players. Like in any way, shape, or form, zing, creative team, get wrecked. But. It is something that is a byproduct, which I think is pretty significant to people becoming ingratiated with this game and like wanting to keep doing it. Is like the friendships that they build and the stories that they get to tell.
Well, the problem is,
and I'm not saying that the Wizards has any way to actually control that, but whatever.
Yeah, I don't want to stick on this too much longer, but I think like the problem is for players like myself that like can't play every single weekend anymore. Old PTQ system was great because I could come out, go play sealed or like, hey, I'll borrow a standard deck, whatever.
Yeah.
Now, I personally own cards, but I know a lot of people that will just borrow a deck, whatever. But you didn't have to be
like
totally
playing for multiple weekends.
Right, you didn't have to be totally into it. You know, you could just show up. And like, yeah, maybe your chances of doing well like aren't that great, you know, if you just show up one week. But there's always a chance that you could just spike a tournament. Maybe that's not what they want. I don't know.
I think that's actively not what they want. I think that actively
But
makes
you're
the PPTQ format sound better.
But you're still going to pull in the people that are going to PPTQs, but then you also
Yes.
add in these other people.
Yes,
That's
there's a
what
lot
I'm
of
saying.
people have suggested that the RPTQ costing more money, or costing money in general, is a way to keep out the people who win like average like PPTQs, but don't think they could do well at the RPTQ, thus lowering their numbers. Like I don't. You need to show some amount of dedication, I think. So that is an area where I will disagree with you. If it comes to the point where I can't go that often either, and I'm not going to have any PPTQs right now anyways, then
Yeah.
I don't actively probably deserve to go to the PT.
But that sounds like a better option than me. All right, well, I'm just not going to play in any PPTQs.
Oh, sure, unless
But
of course.
hey, I might go to a one-shot PTQ. You know what I mean?
I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying like I think that's a hard argument to just. I don't know. That's
I get it
why
from their standpoint. Yeah, you're probably right.
it's the least compelling argument to bringing back old PTQs.
Yeah.
in my
Okay.
opinion.
That's my old man rant for the day.
So that's
I mean-
fair. I get why you feel that way. I'm not condemning that, but I do think it's not great.
I mean, there's always those really weird situations that I know you've been in personally, Mike, where you win the first like PPTQ out
Oh,
the gate,
no, yeah, like
and then
that's-
you just become like, oh, disingenuous. You can literally play less Magic.
I haven't played a PPTQ since I won that first one in December
Yeah,
or whatever.
so it's like-
I forgot like the season rolled over. I just like forgot about it. I was like, all right, yeah, I can play again. Like, don't really care.
Couldn't play because there were none in the area.
Well,
but-
that's also true, but that's a Columbus issue.
Yeah, correct. All right, we can move on. We can go ahead and talk about just quickly. They're changing the top 8 bracket. They're going back to how it originally was,
Yay!
which is fine. And
It made Fantasy Pro Tour Draft really confusing. So.
Yeah, I really didn't like that. We won't get into the reasons why, but you could probably guess.
I beat him.
and then they're adjusting the Pro Tour top 8. The Pro Tour payout,
Yes.
or is it the top 8 payout?
It's
It's everything.
I think it's
yeah.
everything,
It's
yeah.
the
So the Pro Tour
points.
payout and the top 8. Excuse me, not the Pro Point distribution.
Yeah. So the winner now gets 50,000 instead of 40,000, and there was some amount of griping I saw from the pro community about the difference in payouts between 5th and 8th place, which technically it's like you've all lost in the quarterfinals. Why should the payout be different? But it's like a $3,000 difference between 5th and 8th.
6th and 8th.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a
whatever.
$4,000 difference between 5th and 8th.
It's not going to affect me ever in my life. So
Oh, no,
I don't
never.
really care.
But
I could understand why some of the pros might
It is
care.
weird.
It is definitely weird.
There was a whole thing about, what was it? PT Chicago in 2001 paid out more money than Pro Tour Amaranth Cat will.
Yeah, but I don't even know if that
Awkward.
was like a substantiated claim.
Yeah, probably not. I don't know. But, I mean, it is pretty clear that the payouts have not scaled with inflation over the years.
No.
Which makes going pro... It's like, I don't know, like, why would you do it? Like, I get why you would do it in some cases, but it's not really a way to, like, live a life. You know what
I mean, it depends on what kind of life you want to live.
yeah, I guess if you want to do it, but it doesn't seem great.
Yeah. I completely I agree with the. It doesn't seem great.
We'll
statement.
just say if you look around and like if Magic's trying to be like a quote unquote esport, and you look around some other games, it's like, well, you'd be much better off playing some other games and
May
trying
not
to
be
live
good
up
at
to that.
those other games.
That's true, but at least the incentive is there to maybe want to, follow that path. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll just say that.
All right. Last up is a little bit of a rules change / clarification for Amoket, which happens typically when new sets come out, but we thought we'd bring it up just because it is somewhat important, and we'll probably talk about it a little bit more next week when we. I believe we have a special guest lined up for next week, so
We do.
we'll leave you with a little bit of a mystery until next week. Just in case something happens and they can't make it or anything. A mystery, though. It's
And then
definitely a
next week it becomes
mystery.
History's Mysteries.
It's true.
I like that.
So they're changing how the combat shortcut works, which I think is the one that's kind of gotten the most traction, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, this is the controversial one from the last Pro Tour.
Yeah, where there was a the black red creature that has a start of the combat beginning combat trigger and like trying to crew and things like that, and it being a little bit unintuitive and weird and kind of rules lawyery.
It also, unfriendly to like international play, where like
Yes.
both players may not speak the same language. So
Yeah, so basically, I don't want to be the one to explain it since I have only read that like paragraph like twice.
It's actually really easy.
Okay,
So
I'll let the judge take over. That makes
so,
sense.
all right, so what was the old ruling? We'll start with that.
the old ruling is saying the common shortcut combat technically took you to declare attackers unless your opponent took a game action. This meant that if you had any beginning of combat triggers like Goblin Rabble Master or Weldfast Engineer, or if you wanted to activate a creature land or crew a vehicle, that didn't happen. Like you couldn't do it. You didn't have priority. And you passed through the other things. And that's what happened to the Pro Tour. Is you had a guy who he wanted to try and crew his Heart of Kirin and also use his Weldfast Engineer target, but he just he couldn't crew, and because he had already gone to because he couldn't crew because they said he'd gone to declare attackers. Oops, you also missed your Weldfast Engineer. That's awkward. That feels bad. The reason it existed like that, and I've had to do a lot of reading on this because it feels bad for me too, was that essentially the game should never bait your opponent into acting like counter beneficially to themselves. So you can't just be like combat and see if you can like bait something out of them. Now I will say I've been really dissatisfied with a lot of these rulings. I was listening to Magic the Amateuring last week, and they had Rob. I'm gonna forget his name. Level 3. He's the head for the North region. So I have to Rob, and I can't remember his name.
I know who you're talking about, but I can't.
I
I know that he top eight at a Pro Tour.
But he essentially said like the way it works with the combat is like, well, you shouldn't have to ask twice, essentially. And I didn't like that.
Magic the Amateur, you're failing me. It just says Judge Rob. I think it's Rob
Right, well,
McKenzie.
Rob McKenzie, yes. Okay.
Okay,
It just says Judge Rob, and I'm like, why?
I take it back. It's not the same Rob.
But anyways,
Rob the robot?
that's the guy who stacked discs for
Is that
NES.
the Rob you're thinking of?
No.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, he said that like you wouldn't want to have to ask twice. That's not elegant. But that's how Magic Online works. You pass priority in your main phase, then you regain priority in your combat phase and pass again. So actively, the way that Magic Online works, which is a way that a lot of players learn technical rules, does ask twice. So I did not like those kinds of answers because they were frustrating. So this now essentially changes it so you can say combat. If your opponent does something, right, when you say combat and they go, I'm going to Doomblade your Goblin Rabble Master, that is assumed to have happened in your main phase. Okay? That is it.
Right, is in response to entering.
Yes. They want, essentially it now works as in you're asking to move to combat, they pass priority in your main phase. If they do nothing, then you are in the beginning of combat with priority. Your triggers happen. Okay, you put them on the stack, and then you're like, all right, go to attack. Okay, so then your opponent can say, like, when you say, okay, I'll Weldfast Engineer target here, then they can do that. Okay, so you say, like, because that's the example they have in this Ask a Judge article as well, and that's one that makes the most sense. You also have something like Hazaret's Favor, I believe, is the red enchantment where you can give a creature +2/+0 on haste, or even something like Toolcraft Exemplar. These are things that happen at the beginning of combat. And I thought it was interesting. The original Judge post about this did say that like this wasn't really ever an issue before because almost nothing actively wanted you to stop there. But since Goblin Rabble Master, like it is they had to ask about this. Like, is this design space you're exploring? And they're like, yes. And this has caused this to become an issue.
Yeah, they have a ton of effects in Kaladesh block.
Yes.
Like that.
So this is a lot more elegant. So you can now say combat again. You're not going to get got. Your opponent, if they act in response to that, they're acting in your main phase. So if you had something like a Sirach, right, you make sure you're doing this correctly. Don't just say combat, Sirach will target this, because then your opponent's like, whoa, wait, and I want to do things in your main phase, and you've messed up and shown what you were going to target with it, which may or may not be a thing, but be aware. So combat, your opponent, no, okay, attack triggers. So it feels better.
Awesome. And we'll talk about the other stuff that was in there if need be. I don't know if anything too groundbreaking happened.
There's some other stuff, but I think we'll wait for next week.
Yes.
Not to keep being cryptic.
Also, last week we did get the next Commander set that's going to be coming out, which is going to be Commander 2017. It's going to be in August, which is a little bit earlier than what's typically when those decks do come out, I think. And,
it definitely is, yeah.
Yeah, and they're going to be 4 of them, only 4 of them, and they're all going to be tribal based. So elves make sense. Goblins, I don't know what the other 2 would be though. One of the tribes is something you wouldn't necessarily expect. I'm going to go with actually scarecrows, Reaper King.
When you see this tribe, it's going to blow your mind.
All right, my call then. Druids, Seton Cross and Protector.
I'm going to go with cats.
Cats would be dope. Yeah. That's like the internet's tribal deck.
Who's your? We both named a general. Who's your general?
Regal Kara.
That's not a legend. You failed.
Jazal. Jazal Goldmane.
No, Brimaz.
King
of Oreskos.
Also a good one.
We can't go like Jareth. He's the original big cat.
It's true. It's true.
He cast righteousness on
Brimaz is king. Brimaz is king.
That's fair. But he didn't fight in the arenas on Onslaught. Or whatever the name of that island was.
Yeah, whatever. Okay.
Jamiroquai.
I don't think it was Jamiroquai. I don't think that the island was made of virtual insanity. So anyway, that's it for our community segment. We do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Comic Town, before we head to a question of the week. They're going to have their Spring Classic this weekend on Saturday, and then Sunday they're actually going to be having a Modern IQ. So plenty of magic for you this weekend to check out. For more information on the events, times, entry fees, stuff like that, prize payouts, go to their Facebook page. It's just you can do a search for Comic Town Gaming Center on Facebook, and you'll get right there to their events. So next up, we have our question of the week. And it says, how do the lack of, or how will the lack of standard bands affect your deck choice for the Classic this weekend? Or for, if you're going to Atlanta or what have you, how do we feel like these lack of bands are going to affect, what we play and what we see maybe at the Classic for us personally?
So let's start with Dave.
Well, I wanted to play. Well, I saw a sweet red black. Was it Heckbent?
Heckbent,
we'll call it.
Correct.
So there've been some lists out there with Hazoret and the new Minotaur, the black red guy. Seemed pretty good.
Neheb.
Seemed pretty cool. I know. I definitely have most of the deck already, except for the Amonkhet cards. So. It's something I was interested in trying, and then when I saw that there were no bans, I'm like, oh, well, this probably can't beat Saheeli combo, so that's not going to be a wise
not on the
choice.
cards.
So, yeah, it's frustrating, but at the same time, it's I guess we kind of know what to expect. So, I expect there to be Saheeli combo Marta vehicles, black-green, maybe humans, maybe some type of red aggro, but I don't know. So personally, I've been looking at some control shells, since now we kind of have an idea what's going to show up. So I think control might be a little bit more viable than maybe past week ones, because you kind of know the top decks that are going to be there for the most part. Mm-hmm. You may not know exactly what maybe new cards get incorporated. So I'm looking at potentially, some blue-white cycling or a Jeskai control deck right now. Definitely subject to change because there's nothing. I'm still just kind of getting a feel for what people are going to play. But
plenty of time to figure it out.
Yeah, plenty of time. Yeah, I got 3 days.
Yep, correct. 3 days.
Yep.
So best of luck to you, sir, in your journeys.
Yeah.
I have decided to join the in crowd and invest into Four Colors of Healy, but I do have different motivations for it. Like I said, we are going to be attending Louisville. And with that, being the case, I definitely want to have give our team, the best chance at doing well. And Four Colors to Healy, based on my observations, is still going to be the deck to play in a lot of different ways. So if that's going to be the case, then why not start now? And that's kind of my opinion about it. Do I have any belief that the deck is going to be viable when we get secondary bannings after the Pro Tour? Probably not. Probably not. I'm still going to push for its banning, in all honesty. But sometimes you just have to figure out what you want to do in the game of Magic and go for it. And I really want to try to do the best I can for the Louisville event and not let down my team.
See, that's good. You have something to look forward to. I'm just playing this is probably the only standard event that I'll be playing in, so it's a little different for me. I'm just I'm just gonna find a sweet deck I like to play.
In honesty, if I didn't have Louisville, then that would completely influence. I probably wouldn't even necessarily play in the Classic, to be perfectly honest. Or I would play some of the other decks that we have been discussing as a group. But since I do have Louisville coming up, it's cool. I could play one of those decks in the Open, but then I still have Louisville, and it's just I want to play a viable deck, so I might as well start learning it now.
I think this hat has changed you. I've low-key gotten Morgan into baseball, and then my wife gave him a hat, a baseball cap. And he doesn't normally wear baseball caps.
I was just gonna say, Morgan, you look weird wearing a
but he's
cap.
he's watching sports, and now he's doing it for the team. Just put them first. You just gotta do. I honestly do appreciate that, and I feel kind of bad for muscling you out of Modern, but I just want to play Modern. I suffered through Standard the last time. You can have fun in this.
We have to consult. We have to console our legacy player and help him figure out what to play.
So our legacy player is definitely playing Miracles.
Yeah, it's Elliot. Elliot, friend of the show.
He should be playing Standard.
No,
don't do that to me. Don't.
I went to the RPTU with him. No.
Okay.
1 win at the RPTU in this similar format. No, not gonna give it to him.
We won't mention the player's name.
But it was Elliot. It was Elliot.
It's already Elliot. I already said
it.
Cat's out of the bag.
Elliot. I was gonna do it.
Love you, bud.
Yeah, we still love you, Elliot.
I just think out of the three of us, he's still, regardless of the deck, he's the most competent.
For sure.
So, there you go. We saved it. Anyways, for myself, what kind of person would I be if I sat on this cast for a month, extolling the virtues of the one and only Drake Heaven? All right, teaching the followers of my flock, and I do believe it's a flock of Drakes. The followers of my flock.
I remember that band.
That there is a higher purpose.
Is it a flock of seagulls? Was it
flock of Drakes?
It's the progenitor of a flock of seagulls.
Okay.
It's actually Drake covering Iran by the flock of seagulls. Flock of Drakes. Anyways, though, I've been doing nothing but jamming Drake Haven decks, and I knew regardless of the bans, I was playing a Drake Haven deck because I want to play that card. And who I am as a Magic player, I want to do well at this event. Don't get me wrong. Standard really has driven me into a corner. I don't have a lot of deck choices. I've sold a lot of my Standard cards. I haven't been as high volume about it as maybe Morgan has about his. But Standard's really pushed me. I played Zombies. I enjoyed that deck, and then moved on. So now I'm playing a deck that is Zombies and Drake Haven combined. Well, that's weird. I will say this: I actively think the deck is good. At least more than viable. If it's good in this format where these are the only two decks, I've tested it, it's certainly winnable, but I don't know over the long haul. I don't have enough games in. But I know that I'm going to cast Drake Haven on Saturday, and it's going to make me smile. And I think I need that right now from Magic. So if I happen to do well and smash people out with Drake Havens, well, just remember, I told you it was the truth.
Yeah. To be perfectly honest, Mike, you've shown your viability with playing rogue decks that aren't the mainstream, and really finding a deck, finding a thing that you want to do and doing it and being the best at that and turning that into success within the format. So that is definitely something within Magic that you have found a niche for and are able to convert to wins. Which I don't think a lot of people necessarily have that capability, because I certainly don't. I've played your decks to medium success, but never anything as well as you have. And I do think the Drake Haven that deck is cool. It does so many cool things. It is an awesome thing to see in Standard. And if you go to the Classic over the weekend, burn some of Mike's games. The things he is doing are in fact very gross and disgusting, and probably would be so much better if they had actually gone through with some bans, because that's the deck I would have been playing as well if they had banned some stuff. Because Zombies was a really cool deck, and I actually did enjoy playing that deck as well, just because it does have a lot of viability. But I think the deck that you're playing is definitely the cool deck, and I'm just trying to be the best I could be within Standard.
Yeah, the hipster deck doesn't always mean the best deck, but I think I appreciate that. I really do. I think the deck is close, and I really did actually get to spend a little bit of time tuning it. It's gone through about 3 iterations now. I have a deck list that I'm really happy with. And like I said, you essentially playing without a mixture of Hana Dead and Drake Haven, so that you get to discard 2 cards off the of the Hana Dead, trigger your Drake Havens, bring back your amalgams. Like, all of these things are fun and cool and interesting. So I do realize that I've essentially once again created an Eldritch Moon theme deck, as I was telling you before, Morgan. So I'm trying in a Innistrad block. I see you. I know everyone else has ignored you. You've been beaten down. I'm still here for you. So, but that's where I'm at, and I think I want to have some fun with this. Now, if I come out of this feeling like if I play Saheeli or Marty vehicles every single round the first weekend of a new set, I'm going to feel a little discouraged, because half the fun of a new set for me, of a new format for me, is
a new format.
Seeing what everyone else did, and if everyone else just went, well, I didn't need to change anything, well, that's sad, and Wizards failed. And I put that very bluntly.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have fun. I'm going to try. And I don't want it to work like that. I don't want to end it like that, because I don't want to suggest that other people aren't trying. You know what I mean? Like, you're just playing a good deck. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. So
we could see some sweet stuff come out of
I hope so.
SCG
Atlanta, I hope so. I hope Drake Haven gets its time in the sun.
You're playing the game how you want to play it.
Yes.
And I think that is a good thing for everyone to do.
So if Drake Haven is as good as you say it is, this might be the only time where it's like the cool fun deck, because I think it could get really old really fast. Like, if that's just the best thing, that's gonna be like, oh my god, this card is miserable.
I doubt
it's so bad.
I doubt it's the best thing.
No, honestly,
it's the thing I want to do the most.
It's totally a card though that is just obnoxious if it's like the best thing. You
that's
know what
true.
I mean?
But also, far more answerable than anything in the Four Colors Saheeli deck, with other cards that you could easily have access to.
Yeah, that's right.
But I think that was a good summation of this weekend. We'll report back next week, and let you know how the weekend went.
Wait, we get to play the Classic tomorrow?
Please, no.
You perfected time travel?
I wish.
Oh, so it was insane. Wish. Just a quick aside. So, woke up this morning. My wife goes, "Is it Saturday?" I was just like, "What?" Like, that would have been awesome if we could just time travel to Saturday, but it wasn't meant to be. It was only Tuesday, and I was sad. I'm like, oh, I have 4 more days of work. I guess.
Rough.
I guess I better get going now.
Tough. Sorry.
But for a split second there, I was like, "Oh man,
is it?
I don't have a deck." Oh no.
All right, Dave. I believe you have to head out a little bit early, if I'm not mistaken. You got like 5 minutes, but I'm gonna go longer than 5 minutes.
Yeah, I gotta jet. But so, you guys, I have faith that you'll take it home.
Yeah.
So
I think so.
I mean, I am home. So
yeah, I mean, we're at the end of the show, man.
I gotta take myself home.
I'm taking it home.
Yeah, we're at the end here. I hope we don't mess it up at the end. It's the literal easiest part of the show, and it's pretty much all on my shoulders. I want to make that clear.
All right. Well, I'll leave it in your hands, Morgan. All right. Catch you next week.
All right. Bye, Dave.
All right. See you.
Dave's now walking down invisible stairs. That's not where the door is.
The elevator.
All right. So before we get to the wrap up, I do want to give a shout out to our other wonderful sponsor, BCW Supplies. They, of course, not surprised us. They provided us with some stuff for our giveaways, and we did get a winner. We have a winner for our first giveaway. And I'm actually going to be shipping out his stuff tomorrow. But Nicholas Harburg, again, we've already contacted you and everything, but congratulations again on winning our very first, well, not our very first giveaway, but our very first BCW sponsored giveaway. And again, that's something that we're going to be doing more often. And we have been in discussion to start something like a Patreon here soon as well, because we've had a couple people ask us about it, and we just we're just working on setting the rewards in a right way, and potentially we're looking at making one of the rewards, additional entries into these, giveaways that we have in the future. So keep your eye on that. We'll make sure that when it does happen, that we announce it on the show, of course, and. Again, another big shout out to Mr. Harburg. Your stuff will be in the mail tomorrow. And BCW, since the Star City Game Circuit is hitting Atlanta, Team Metagame Gurus is going to be actually coming to a local store within the Atlanta, Georgia area. It's Win Condition Games, and it's located in Kennesaw, Georgia. They actually have set up an event for the Challenger Guru event. So these are the same events that they've had, and again, this is something that is presented by BCW. They, actually help get the team metagame gurus there, get them some products to give away. So if you beat them, you get a Deck Locker LX, which is great, and a T-shirt. So you beat a guru. So thank you to BCW Games for having these lovely events around the Open, which is a really cool thing. And I can't wait till the Open comes back to Columbus.
And the T-shirts are really comfy.
Yeah, that's the best part, right?
You like the humble brags?
Yeah, I don't have one of them shirts. I haven't earned it yet.
Oh,
so.
that's weird. That's weird. You'd be the guru.
Maybe I will someday. Maybe. They're real good. And of course, if you have any other interest in BCW supplies, give them a look up on their Facebook page. Just do a search for BCW supplies on Facebook. All right, so wrap up. So again, we have the Comic Town Spring Classic on Saturday. It's going to be standard. We have the Modern IQ on Sunday at Comic Town. That's going to be modern. And then more broadly, in Atlanta, we have the Star City Games Open, which is, of course, going to be standard. And that's pretty much everything for the actual weekend. And pretty much everything for the show. So if you have any questions, shout-outs, concerns for us, there are plenty of ways to contact us. You can find us on Twitter. It's Your End Step if you search for it, and then when you add us, it's at Your End Step. We also have a Facebook page at if you do a search for us on Facebook at Your End Step, we pop up. And then lastly, you have our email account at yourendstep@gmail.com. And then if you feel like it, leave us a review on iTunes. That really helps our visibility. Also, check out MTG Cast, which we post our shows on. It's a great way to find out, your new second favorite podcast. I'm modest, I know. But a great way just to find something new to listen to in the Magic realm. But that's going to be everything for us this week. You guys have a great one. Bye.